Manchester United fans, we have another major update from Old Trafford. There are several fresh stories making the headlines, from Rooney signing his Manchester United scholarship to renewed talk around Carlos Baleba, a reported decision on Jed Spence, interest surrounding Bruno Fernandes, fresh plans for Marcus Rashford, and a possible exit for Joshua Zirkzee. Let's break everything down. Let's start with a special story for Manchester United fans. Rooney has signed his Manchester United scholarship, continuing the famous Rooney connection with the club. The son of United legend Wayne Rooney, has been in the academy since he was 11. He is now taking another important step in his development after joining United's first-year scholarship intake. And there is an incredible connection here. Michael Carrick's son, JC Carrick, is also part of the same scholarship intake. Their fathers played together at Manchester United, and now their sons are beginning their own journeys at Old Trafford. Could Rooney eventually follow his father's footsteps into the Manchester United first team? It's obviously far too early to say, but this is certainly one academy story to watch. Now to the transfer market. Carlos Baleba is once again being mentioned in connection with Manchester United. United have admired the Brighton midfielder for some time, but the major issue has always been the price. Reports have suggested there is a gap between what United believe Baleba is worth and what Brighton would demand. United reportedly rate the player highly but do not want to overpay, so if this interest really is being revived, the key question is simple. Will United finally make a serious move for Baleba, or will the asking price prove too high? There is also an interesting story involving Jed Spence. Reports suggest Manchester United were not convinced enough to pursue the fullback. That is particularly interesting because United are still looking at defensive reinforcements. The club's recruitment team clearly has a specific profile in mind, and simply being available on the market isn't enough to guarantee interest from United. So for now, Spence does not appear to be the answer to United's defensive recruitment plans. Now we come to one of the biggest stories, Bruno Fernandes. There has been continued interest in the Manchester United captain from outside Europe, but United's position has remained clear. Bruno is considered one of the most important players in the squad. Previous reports have indicated that United want to keep him and understand just how difficult and expensive it would be to replace a player who has carried so much creative responsibility for the team. So despite interest, United fans have plenty of reason to believe the club wants Bruno to remain at Old Trafford. And from a football perspective, losing Fernandes would completely change Michael Carrick's team. Now let's talk about Marcus Rashford. Rashford is back with Manchester United after his loan spell at Barcelona, but his future remains one of the biggest questions around the club. United have already indicated that Rashford can remain part of the squad if the right offer does not arrive. The club even gave him the number 14 shirt, which has been interpreted as another indication that he has not been completely pushed out of Carrick's plans. But Rashford still needs to prove himself on the pitch. The big question is, when will Michael Carrick finally give Rashford his first appearance since returning? That moment could tell us a lot about what happens next. There has also been an emotional side to the latest Rashford discussion, with Mark paying tribute to Darren as part of the wider conversation surrounding Rashford. This is a more personal story than the transfer headlines, but it has added another dimension to the discussion around Marcus and his situation. For United supporters, the focus remains on what happens next on the football pitch, and whether Rashford can rebuild his relationship with the club and supporters. And finally, we have Joshua Zirkzee. A potential departure is becoming an increasingly important story. Reports suggest clubs in Italy are interested in the Dutch forward, with Juventus among the clubs linked with a possible move. One reported possibility is a loan deal with an option or obligation to buy. United are reportedly reluctant to take a significant loss on the player, so the structure and valuation of any deal will be crucial. Interestingly, Zirkzee has just scored for United against Leeds, so his situation is particularly intriguing. If he does leave, United would then need to consider whether they should bring in another striker. So, Manchester United fans, let's quickly recap. Rooney has signed his United scholarship. Carlos Baleba could be back on United's radar, although his price remains a major issue. Jed Spence does not appear to have convinced United. Bruno Fernandes continues to attract interest, but United want to keep their captain. Marcus Rashford's future remains open, with the club apparently prepared to keep him if the right offer doesn't arrive. And finally, Joshua Zirkzee's exit is becoming increasingly possible, with Italian clubs interested. There is still plenty of movement around Old Trafford. Which of these stories is the biggest for you? Should United sign Carlos Baleba? Should Rashford stay? And if Zirkzee leaves, who should Manchester United sign as his replacement? Drop your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the latest Manchester United news. Glory, glory Manchester United!